Imagine a world-renowned trader who has spent over 40 years reading charts, surviving market crashes, and calling tops and bottoms before half of today's crypto investors were even born. The title of our news right here from Times Tabloid states legendary trader Peter Brandt drops XRP bombshell that stuns XRP army. Now, imagine that this exact same trader has spent years being highly skeptical of XRP, frequently clashing with its community and largely avoiding the asset altogether. What could possibly make a legendary figure like that completely flip the script and drop a bombshell announcement that leaves the host of a major financial podcast completely speechless? That is exactly what just went down. We are breaking down here a massive revelation shared by the popular crypto pundit BankXRP on X, highlighting a recent appearance by the legendary Peter Brandt on Ron Neuner's Crypto Banter podcast. The veteran chartist didn't just give XRP a casual nod. He singled it out in a way that has sent shockwaves through the entire digital asset space. If you think XRP is just another token in a crowded market, you are about to see why the oldest school of trading expertise views it as is something entirely different. Alright, now before we start, let's check XRP's daily chart time frame right here. And as we can see, XRP's current market price is at 1.26 USDT. And as we can see on a daily chart, on this daily chart time frame that we have here, XRP is falling down. It's dropping down so fast. It started yesterday when XRP broke our major support here at 1.3211. And based on my analysis, I stated that XRP might fall down until this next support, until our next major support right here at 1.2234. Since our bearish signals from our indicators strongly suggest that the bearish momentum is very strong. So it has a high probability that in the following days, it might hit the 1.2234 really hard. And if this breaks, then we might expect another much larger fall towards our next major support right here. All right, now let's go back to the news. So the question is, why did Peter Brandt's podcast comments stun the entire crypto community? During his live interview right here, Peter Brandt was asked directly about the future of digital assets and which networks actually have a shot at surviving the next decade. Without hesitating, he stated that if you had to bet on a horse to become truly transactional on a global scale, it would probably be XRP. He went on to explicitly say that XRP probably is the best candidate out there for real-world, day-to-day transactional adoption. What made this moment go viral was the sheer shock on the face of the host, who openly admitted he never expected such a ringing endorsement from someone with Brandt's historical track record. Now, to me, this is the ultimate validation of what we have been talking about for years. When a crypto influencer hypes up a token, you always have to wonder if they are just trying to pump their own bags. But for Peter Brandt, Peter Brandt has no allegiance to Ripple, no incentive to please the community, and absolutely zero reasons to give XRP fake praise. So in fact, given how much the community has criticized him in the past, it would have been easier for him to stay silent. So my view is that when an outsider with 40 years of traditional market experience look at the landscape and calls XRP the best horse in the race, it proves that utility is finally winning over pure speculation. Now, how does his complicated history with the asset give his words extra weight? Right? To understand why this is a bombshell, you have to look at how we got here. Peter Brandt has had a famously rocky relationship with the digital asset space. Years ago, he viewed the token with heavy skepticism. Even when he began to recognize its technical patterns, a vocal portion of the community continued to attack him online, causing him to pull back and stop posting commentary entirely. He chose to look past the social media noise and focus purely on what the asset is designed to do. He didn't just put XRP on a pedestal alone. He mentioned it alongside Solana and Ethereum, but then added a chilling warning. He believes most other cryptocurrencies are ultimately going to end up as junk. Now, in my own personal opinion, my take on this history is that it acts as a filter for truth. If a friend always tells you what you want to hear, their compliments lose value. But when someone who has actively avoided you steps up and says you are leading the race, you listen. I believe Brandt's willingness to speak up despite the past friction shows immense professional integrity. It tells me his conviction is driven by undeniable data, not emotion. He is looking at the global financial pipeline and realizing that while other chains are busy building meme coin casinos, XRP has been quietly built to handle actual commercial settlements. Now, what makes his track record for making accurate market calls so important? This isn't the first time the veteran trader has been right about his specific asset. Back in 2024, right? Let's highlight this part. Back in 2024, when the market was completely stagnant and frustration was an all-time high, he made a definitive public prediction. He stated that if the token could decisively break above its 2021 peak of $1.96, it would trigger an incredibly aggressive upward move. What happened next is history. The price sliced right through that heavy overhead resistance and rapidly rocketed to a peak of $3.39 by January 2025. He proved that his mathematical understanding of this specific asset's market behavior is incredibly precise. In my opinion, this track record is the main reason why the entire market needs to pay attention right now. Anyone can make a wild guess on social media, but Brandt's analytical work has a habit of coming true. If he was right about the macro breakout rules moving into 2025, we have to take his 2026 outlook very seriously. So my perspective is that he sees the exact same pattern playing out fundamentally that he saw technically a couple of years ago, which is a massive compression of energy that explodes once the rest of the world catches up to the reality of the asset's utility. Now, the next question is, why does an outsider's view count more than a crypto native's advice? Right? The real value of this bombshell is that it comes from outside the traditional cryptocurrency bubble. Traditional crypto natives are often trapped in an echo chamber, celebrating minor network updates that mean absolutely nothing to the global banking system. Peter Brandt, however, brings decades of experience from traditional commodities, forex, and equity markets. He was successful analyzing market trends before modern blockchain technology even existed. When someone with that deep structural understanding of global capital flows looks at the landscape and places XRP ahead of both Ethereum and Solana for real-world transactions, it completely reframes the asset's true value proposition. Now, in my opinion, I strongly believe that an outside perspective is exactly what this market needs to shake off the retail noise. We get so caught up in a daily price charts and online arguments that we forgot what the end game actually looks like. The end game is institutional adoption. Banks and large corporations do not care about crypto hype. They care about speed, cost, and legal safety. So in my view, Brandt recognizes that XRP was engineered from day one to serve as an international bridge currency, making it the most logical survivor in a market that he believes will eventually wipe out the vast majority of speculative tokens. Now, what is the ultimate takeaway for investors looking to the future? So to wrap it up all, we are witnessing a massive convergence between traditional financial wisdom and the future of digital assets. We have a legendary veteran trader right here who has no personal bias, no financial incentive, and a history of skepticism, openly declaring that XRP is the absolute best candidate to achieve through global transactional adoption. He has drawn a clear line in the sand, while a vast majority of the crypto market is risk turning into junk. The focus must shift entirely toward assets that possess real-world measurable utility. As an overall conclusion, the ultimate lesson here is that longevity and utility will always outlast short-term market hype. Peter Brandt's surprising commentary serves as a massive wake-up call for the entire industry. It reminds us to stop focusing on the daily noise and start looking at the macro architecture of global finance. When the dust finally settles on the crypto markets, the assets left standing will be the ones that actually solve multi-trillion-dollar problems. XRP has spent years building the infrastructure to do exactly that. And as the traditional trading world officially stands up to take notice, the future looks incredibly bright for those who understand the long game. Alright, and this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching, and you might as well want to check this next recommended video right here.